Yo, welcome back guys to another commentary video. It's me on the left playing Swordsoul, and my buddy Reese on the right playing the good old Kashtira, post banlist, post slaughter, whatever you want to call it. I mean, this deck is absolute cheeks, but he loves it, and honestly, I'll give him credit, man. He plays the deck pretty well. He got his invite with Kashtira at, where was that? I think it was Indiana, maybe? I think at Indy he got his invite, so shout out to my boy Reese. He knows what he's doing, but he just won't give the deck up. Anyways, I win the die roll, opening up Moye, Vessel. I'm gonna activate Vessel, pitching the Ashuna, and I didn't see what I added there. Maybe it was Mashuda, but using the Moye, going into Shishao, going Chainlink 1, Shishao, Chainlink 2, Moye. This is just standard plays right here, nothing too crazy. I'm gonna get the search. Now your two options really here are Longyan or Blackout. It depends on your hand. So going for a Longyan play. Seems like I don't need the Blackout, or the Blackout's not going to do enough for me. So activating Longyan, going for a level 10 synchro play, pitching the Vishuda. Activating the effect right here of Ashuna, specialing at Hara. So seems like I'm probably going for a Monk after I go for the level 10 play. Now I'm locked into Worms because of Shuna, so only options here are Chengying or the Sinister. Going for a Sinister. Effect of Longyan to burn, then Monk. Gonna activate a Hara effect, just getting the Ashuna back to hand. It's essentially setting up for next turn. With these mid-range decks, you really want to make sure that you have a play for the next turn, because it's very important. So passing a turn over to him. Now, the reason that I went for the Sinister Sovereign right here instead of a Chengying is I'm not a huge fan of having Chengying up when I only have a Shishao, right? Because you only have there's only one window of time where you're going to be able to trigger your Chengying, and it's when you activate your Shishao effect. So if their first action is something that you have to negate, then your Chengying's not going to do anything, right? So instead, what I'm going for here is the Sovereign play. And in this meta specifically, I think Sovereign's going to be better than the Chengying, because against the Fire King matchup, it hits the Sanctuary, it hits Fire King Island. As far as special summons go, it can get rid of Garunix, it can get rid of Kirin's, it can possibly get rid of Ponix's or the Diabell Stars. You know, it hits a whole lot of stuff, right? It can banish the Wanted spell or the original Sinful Spoils. And keep in mind, I don't technically know what I'm playing against going into this game 1. So I have to assume, well, I'm going to assume that I'm going to play against the most represented deck, which would be Fire Kings. So that's what I'm playing against, right? So Reese, he opens up Prosperity, special summons his Unicorn. I banish that with the Sovereign, and he special summons Ogre. I negate that with Shishao. Now he's contemplating his next play right here. He normal summons the Ash Blossom. Obviously he's going to go into a level 10 play. Going into a Baron. Now he can easily just clear both of my monsters on board right now. He can beat over Sovereign or pop it, and he can possibly beat over the Shishao. So it's exactly what he does. He activates Talents too. He's going to look at my hand right here, which makes sense because he can easily get rid of my Sovereign, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I have a Monk on board too, but he's not too worried about that, it seems. Gonna check out my hand, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, getting follow-up right here. I have plenty of follow-up. I have a Veiler for defense, Moye, Taya, and Ecclesia for the offense on my turn. He shuffles back the Ecclesia, which, you know, it's the right choice. It doesn't really matter what he picks here because I have that Ecclesia. I also have the Ashuna. So I mean, we're sitting really good right here. He goes into battle phase after summoning the Kashtira, the Scareclaw Kashtira, beats over my Sovereign, gets in for some attack, passes turn over to me. Looks like I draw the Emergence, so I mean, just even more plays available to me. Activating the Ashuna, specialing it, going into a Monk. I only played 2 Monk in this version, so I have to keep in mind that I need to end the game soon because I don't have the ability to grind out for the extra, 2-3 turns. Having Monk is really important because it turns on your tennies, all of them, but activating the emergence here, getting my Long Yan, I'm going to go into a Baron play. Activating Long effects, burning him for 12, just getting in for lethal, and keep in mind, his life points are already pretty low because the Sovereign burns for each effect, so I've burned him for, probably 48 right now. He's got about 3,200 life points left. Go into a Baxia line and shuffling his entire board back, so just putting him on nothing, and then I'm going to attack for game. Really simple right here, but it was good technical play. Well, more so just good on having the follow-up in my hand, right? It's very easy to vomit your entire hand onto the board with mid-range decks, but the problem with that is if you're not negating the correct cards in the matchup, or if you're just misplaying in any way, then you get punished really hard for it, right? So going into game 2, Reese is going first. He summons the Fenrir, summons it in defense, which is important. Want to make sure that you're not going to take any extra damage for no reason. I mean, the attack and the defense on the card is the same exact thing, so playing around a possible Lightning Storm also, but special summoning that, activating Kashtira, Theosis, summoning the Unicorn, grabbing Birth, and then summoning the Rise Heart from hand. I asked him what he added off the Fenrir, and he just told me it was another Fenrir. So he opens up pretty insane right here, opening up the Fenrir, Unicorn, Rise Heart, and Theosis. Pretty insane, that's how he is. But playing under Nib, which is a really solid read on his part, because I do have the Nib in hand and I was waiting for him to go into the XYZ so I could just wipe his board and leave him on nothing, but go directly into battle phase. I'm going to activate my Evenly. He's going to banish all of his monsters face down, and that leaves him with one trap. Now, what I'm reading right here is that it's probably not an Imperm, because I don't imagine he's going to keep an Imperm over any of those monsters, really. So I don't know exactly what it is, and he reveals that it's the Kashtira trap that specials one from banish or one from hand. Since his banish are face down, he can't summon anything from there, but he does have the Fenrir in hand. So I'm going to summon a Shuna here, and he doesn't have anything for it. Now I have to think here, because what I want to do here is I want to get rid of the Fenrir, and I'd like to get rid of the trap, but I just want to make sure that he doesn't have any follow-up. So I want to clear as many cards on his board as possible and potentially leave him on nothing, because I know he has one card in hand, right? And it could be a hand trap, could be some kind of non-engine, and that's what I'm reading right here. It's really important with these mid-range decks too, and I'll keep saying this because it's one of the most important things, but reading your opponent with mid-range decks and making sure you have follow-up is very important with these kind of decks. I mean, it's important with all, but it's just more so, it's more important with this because there's less room for error, If you guys ever played Kashtira when it was tier 1, it was like the easiest deck to pilot. You could make misplays and didn't really matter. It didn't take too much to really pilot the deck. But I'm going for a very basic play in order to not play into his Fenrir. So what I'm gonna do is summon a Shuda, go into Monk, summon a Vishuda, and normal summon the Ash Blossom. And that allows me to go into a Baron and pop the Fenrir, and now he has no other negates on board, or no other pieces of interaction on board. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate a Shuna, going into a Adhara, and then summon another Monk right here. And that's so I can get a... Why did I do that? I think I was looking for maybe a Shaman play. Going into a Sovereign, burning him for another 12. And then passing over to him. One thing I probably should have done is activating Vishuda to bounce back the trap, so then he had to set it for another turn in order to activate it, in order to use the effect, and that would put him on absolutely nothing on his board. But he summons the Kashtira, the Scareclaw Cache, and realizes that he can't really beat over anything, So he goes into a Typhon, and I activate the effect of Sinister Sovereign to banish it, and he tries to activate Typhon, but he doesn't realize that it's not a quick effect, right? So, doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just going to get banished, and he scoops it up from there. Not realizing that it was a quick effect was, you know, a very, very punishing misplay. So he's just explaining like his thought process right here and like what he was going to do afterwards if that resolved. But that's the end of that game. If you guys have any questions about this kind of deck, I've played it for a while. I played it at a high level for a while too. I enjoy the deck a lot. So if you have any questions about it, comment down below. And as always, let me know what I can do better as far as the commentary, as far as the decks you guys want to see, feature matches, whatever it may be. But I appreciate you guys for sticking till the end, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!